The Super Bowl may be over, but snap your fingers and we'll be watching it again in 2024. Ooh, scary. But we're in 2023 now, and I want to give you the rockiest recap I could possibly find. Is it a sick burn to say loser bowl to the other team, or is that comedy? This felt like a Super Bowl where fans were really excited about the teams, right? Because there's been some years where there is no fuss, and this felt like there was a fuss. And when it comes to uniting the people and keeping the peace in this country, football is a modern-day American gladiators. We love watching grown men slam into each other like they are human bumper cars. And while the teams were leaving absolutely no crumbs, the commercials were. This is what happens when AI starts writing our shit, man. Sure, some of it'll be great and some of it'll be usable, but on a grand scale, commercials should have some heat and they should have some meat. America runs on Ben and Jen. That's right, America's favorite aunt and uncle appeared in a Dunkin' Donuts commercial, which just goes to prove they'll do it all for the dollar. And that's why the rich stay richin'. That I can respect. What I don't respect is that weird-ass Hobby Lobby Jesus commercial. We don't need to do that. Jesus was a brown hippie who hung out with cool kids. He helped the poor, he helped the sick, he rose from the dead, which I don't know if you've ever had to make it to work at 8 a.m. after a 4 a.m. Molly bender, but I think only those of us who've risen from the dead can relate to Jesus. He was a socialist. Socialist. Do you know what that means? He's everything Hobby Lobby and places like that stand against. WWJD? Not that weird-ass ad. Rihanna was the moment this year. We all knew that going in. This is the first time she's performed in years, so she comes out from the sky. I could immediately tell she was pregnant. She was flattering her belly in a way that only a mother could do. This was a subtle, not so subtle announcement. And plus, I'm 34. I can sniff out a pregnancy like the nearest Taco Bell at the end of a night of partying, okay? So she comes out from the literal sky like a diamond. Were there strings that were holding her up? Were there poles that were coming from the ground? Or were there just mini planes that we couldn't hear that were making sure all those mechanisms didn't plummet to the earth, ruining the Super Bowl and making sure she didn't plummet to the earth and collectively traumatizing the viewers for the rest of our lives? I like to think of the people who worked on this super intricate set as doing the set, testing the set in the afternoon, and then just going home and not watching the Super Bowl because they just want to separate themselves from work for a minute. I thought Bitch Better Have My Money was a surprising yet perfect opening because, Riri, it's been 6 years. Get that check, baby. No delays. I would be lying if I said I wasn't waiting for some guest appearances the whole time. At the 6-minute mark when nobody comes out, you kind of know we're not getting anybody. If you didn't watch, well, spoiler alert, bitch. She ain't got no guests. And the later the show goes on, the more we're all realizing nobody's coming out with her and her 83 backup dancers. They were doing this one solo dolo. Because the later the show goes on, the less people are going to talk about the Rihanna performance and more about the guest. The show then becomes all about the moment when the guest comes out. And this was Rihanna's halftime show / last performance before her maternity leave. And you have to respect that. You have to respect that this moment wasn't for somebody else. This moment was hers. And her baby, which her baby has to go in the Guinness Book of World Records, right? As the first ever womb performer at the Super Bowl. And while she may be expecting a baby, we all better stop expecting another album. Just sit back, take a breath, enjoy the memes for the next 4 days because the internet works faster than ASAP Rocky swimmers. See you in 10 years, Rihanna.
Duh.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello. Did you have a good week? I sure hope so. I hope you didn't learn the hard way about egg substitutions like I did. That's right, I was making fudge cupcakes for a Galentine's Day because I'm late night creative. And when I got home with the mix and the frosting, turns out I was out of all the important baking essentials. No vegetable oil. I only had extra virgin olive oil because I likes to keep it pure. You can use extra virgin olive oil for a lot of things. Baking is not one I'd suggest. Then I had no eggs. Now this one was crazy because there are always cartons on cartons of eggs in my house, like I'm about to prank the entire neighborhood. But today, no eggs. Maybe I too am facing the egg price crisis and didn't even realize it. I had to get real creative because it was 11:30 p.m. and realistically I would not make it to the store before this Galentine's Day party. This is a cautionary tale from a cocky baker who always puts a twist on a measurement. Usually with no error. I love to pour with my eyes and my soul, but this was too far. Instead of melting butter as a replacement veggie oil, I just put extra virgin olive oil in with the fudge mix. But the madness didn't stop there. No. I googled how to find egg substitutions around the house. I came across coconut oil, which I happen to have more of than I did eggs. So I substituted. We got extra virgin olive oil. We got melted coconut oil and fudge mix in cupcake tins. I'm over here thinking I reinvented the wheel. Fudge cupcakes that I was planning to top with frosting. Baby, does it get any better? And when I opened the oven, all I saw were pockets on pockets on pockets of oil. I reset the timer for an arbitrary amount of time, and by the time these fudge cupcakes were finished, all of the oil had separated from the fudge. They looked like craters in space. I thought I could salvage them, so I poured all the oil off. I covered them with tin foil, and then I put them in the freezer. I was so hopeful that in the morning, boom, we got fudge. I'll cover them in frosting, and then we got ourselves cake pops, baby. Wrongity wrong. What I got was rock hard fudge duds, and now the cupcake wrappers are stuck to the cupcake tin. So needless to say, I brought tortilla chips to Galentine's. And I'm not mad it went down this way, and I'm not surprised. I learned so much from being a little scientist now. And I randomly do shit like this. Early days of lockdown, when everyone was making bread and learning how to use TikTok, I boiled all of my bowls and scraped out the THC resin. I boiled green tea and then I mixed said resin in the green tea and poured it into ice cube trays. Why? I don't know. You can't eat or drink resin. That's fucking disgusting. This wasn't a wise move. This wasn't something I'd done before. So I don't know why I got fake Martha Stewart with it. What happened? I threw the ice trays out. They looked like gross-ass Thin Mint ice cream cubes, and they smelled like shit. But I learned, and you really only learn from mistakes, and the occasional win. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, I got an ad for an auto-tune singing app, which is just fucking rude. Number 2, do you think it feels the same being stranded in another state, but knowing you can never, ever for the rest of your life make it home for some reason in this scenario? Or being stranded on another planet that can sustain life and knowing you'll never make it home from there either? Is the state scenario more hopeful and the planet scenario unquantifiable? Number 3, if Super Bowl ads were really capitalistic baddies, they'd make you pay to see them. And number 4, I watched a pot, and you know what? It boiled. My guest this week is comedian Liz Savage. Liz's wild word was beware. And this story deals with the severity of traveling with someone you don't really know and the dice roll that becomes. Always remember that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, because who you let into your precious little world isn't always the good egg, especially in this egg market. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky. On Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. If you want to watch extended interviews with all of my guests, please subscribe on YouTube. You can support the show with your wallets by joining my Patreon for $2 or $5 a month. A big thank you and a future thank you to everyone who's written and everyone who will write a review after this episode is over. It really does make a difference. A big shout out to my friend and brother, JP Murphy. If you're looking for a podcast to binge or check out after this one is over, please listen to his podcast, The Good Pizza Podcast. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Liz Savage. Liz, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Yes, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you. We are very like-minded women. We started working together a couple months ago on a very, very exciting project. I guess it's a life project. I don't know what else to call it.
Ongoing.
An ongoing life project. And as soon as we met, we were both just like, oh my God, this girl loves to-do lists. I love to-do lists. This girl's on point. I'm on point. And we were just like very much on the same wavelength. So it's just great to know you, Liz.
Well, thanks. I'm really excited to have met you because I've been coming to New York for a while and I have not met anybody quite like you. Like we just had so much in common. We all have all these notebooks and like lists. And
it's actually ridiculous. Yeah, it's actually ridiculous the amount of notebooks we carry on a daily basis. And I'm just like always pulling it out. I'm like, oh, I have to do this, or taking the phone call. And I'm like, okay, anything you say, yes, like jotting it down. Yeah. It's really great. But I do find the notebooks to be a little cumbersome. Like last night I went out after work and I had my purse with me and I have the notebook on standby in case I have to write a bunch of stuff down at the drop of a dime. And it's like in my bag and I'm like, it's a Friday night. Like, do I know how to just like cut loose anymore? Or is this who I am? You know?
I think it's who we are. I can't believe you carry a purse. I have to carry a backpack so that the weight is evenly distributed, or I would just be like a hunchback, like crawling around the city.
Yes. I used to carry a backpack and then I was overstuffing it. So all the compartments started to rip and break. And I had the backpack for years and they just started to rip and break, and it has like all these metal pieces on it. So you can't just like leave one pocket open because it's just like this flailing piece of metal. I just look like I look like a disaster with that backpack. So I just switched to a purse. I put it in front of me. So I balance out the weight of the notebooks, you know, but people can see you coming a mile away because I can attest, Liz carries her backpack with her everywhere. You are, to be fair, you are traveling from DC often. You need your odds.
Yeah. So I do have, I can't even use that excuse anymore because and every time I've gone out, I have 1000% overstuffed it. Like I have microphones, I have an iPad, and like I have a camera with several lenses. I have so much stuff. Like it doesn't get any lighter. It might actually be heavier now that I'm in town.
Yeah, but you definitely make your presence known. You know, if Liz is coming down the street, all I have to say is beware. Thank you. That was a much better laugh than Liam gave me. Liam didn't give me any slack. So Liz's wild word was beware. So Liz, take us into your wild night story, beware.
Okay. So I know that they say like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
Not today. I'm just going to tell you guys like this crazy shit that happened in Vegas when I went in September for World Series of Comedy last year. Mm-hmm. Great festival. I'm going to like throw that in there. Great festival. Don't want this story to reflect on the festival at all because they're fantastic. And I love it so much. So, and I will go back. Like this didn't really taint my experience with them at all. It just was like this person. And so, so I was in Vegas. It was my birthday week. And I was here at this festival, you know, just like making friends with other comics and going to these workshops and eating In-N-Out.
Yeah. Ooh, I've never had it
where I'm at. And I just, no. Okay.
No.
Sidebar, I'm going to take you to In-N-Out one day and it's going to be great.
Okay.
And then, you know, just stuffing my face with all the food we don't have at home. So I was like loving my life. And then throughout the festival, like I was kind of starting to have issues. The town that I was like from also. And so there were 3 comics that went to the festival from Baltimore. I was one of them. And then there was 2 more. And then one of the comics was a guy that I had actually told about the festival.
Mm-hmm.
And, he seemed like he was really focused on comedy and like wanted to do more. So I was like, dude, there's this festival. It's really great for beginners. Like, they do these workshops. It's great. So he went out there. We split the rental car because I was like, why not save money? Like I'd been out there before. I already knew I didn't want to stay stuck in the hotel and like spend a bunch of money on like casino priced food. So I just, was like, let's split the car. Let's, get out and like eat real food. And
Now, let me ask you this. So I want to stop you
yeah.
because you split a rental car. How well did you know this person that you were about to drive across from Baltimore to Vegas? Like, how many months had you known him? Many years?
We didn't drive. We flew.
Okay.
And like, so, and I had known him for like several months because we were kind of in the same scene.
Gotcha.
I felt like I knew enough about him to travel with him because I know how I like to travel because I travel quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I'm going to do this. If you want to do this, like, you got to do you, Yeah. And so like one of the things is like, because he hadn't been to the festival, I felt like I was kind of put in a place to do a lot of the heavy lifting of like planning. And I'm like, dude, you get all the same emails. Like they sent you the calendar. Like you can do your own thing. There was a whole other comic there from Baltimore, and she totally did her own thing. We talked maybe twice throughout the festival, and like it was, it's everybody's there to do something different. And so, and the only reason that's really important to the story is because like for me, like he stayed with me a lot in the beginning. Like we were together a lot, which was fine in the beginning because we were all kind of, so people started associating us with being together. Like someone actually mistook him for like my husband. They're like, oh, I know you're married. Like, is this your husband? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
let's be clear. Yeah.
But I'm a huge believer in like guilty by association, good or bad. So like,
birds of a feather.
I'm very aware of that. Right. And so where the story kind of gets crazy, that's all just kind of like important information, I guess. Where the story gets crazy is like in about the middle of the week, he starts having problems with like other comics. And so, he told me, he was like, I got into like an altercation with a couple of comics in the meet and greet. And this meet and greet is like an industry meet and greet. There's tables and tables of bookers from clubs all over the country and like agency reps and things like that. And so I'm like, so in my mind, the way that I'm thinking about it is like, this is a work event. People have seen us together. Like, how big was this confrontation? People have seen us together. We're associated. Like, how big is this confrontation? Is this going to reflect on me? Like, what's going on? So, I talked to the guys that he said he had issues with. And I was like, can you tell me what happened? Just because like, I want to know if it was a big deal. They hadn't even thought it was a big deal. Like they were just like, oh, we were just like talking. It was not even a thing. I didn't realize that he took it that way.
Yeah.
And, but he was like mad. I was like, whoa, because I was like, there's people around. Like first of all, you're not going to talk like that. And the second thing is like, there's people around you just like saying this and I'm next to you. So I told him, I was like, I'm not gonna, if you're talking like that, like we're in a public space where people can hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And if you're saying that and I'm talking to you, people are gonna think that I'm condoning what you're saying, and I don't. And so he was like, I was like, no. Like, that's not how it works. When you see people, talking, like you think that they're together. And so I was like, I'm not doing it. And so he kept trying to convince me to like have this conversation. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. So I just walked away. Because I told him, I was like, we can have this conversation somewhere else. Like, if you're upset, like, we can go somewhere else and you can, say what you want and like, tell me what's going on. But like, I'm not going to sit here and like, tell me more in these derogatory terms about these people.
Yeah. Of course not.
So I wasn't about that. And so, eventually we went to lunch and he told me, that's where he told me, he's like, oh, I had this confrontation. Apparently it like wasn't even a big deal, which, I found out all of these things out of order throughout the next like 40 to 46 hours, 36 hours, whatever. How do days work? I don't know. In Vegas, they're all one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was crazy. So like he, we talked it out with him and he seemed to get over it. But
No, we don't have to say anybody's name. Let's give the fake the comic that is confrontational. Let's call him Lars. Is that okay?
yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, so I mean with all that, like I'll just, because the story's going to get confusing, I will name the guy who came with me, Lars. We'll call him Lars.
Got it.
It was a good name choice, Rocky. You're so smart.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, so I reached out to one of the guys that Lars had an issue with, and asked him what was going on. Apparently it wasn't a big deal.
Okay.
But he felt the need to reach out to Lars and clarify things and just kind of like smooth it over.
Gotcha.
And I knew that was just going to be a horrible idea.
Yeah.
And I kind of got the feeling it was going to put me in a bad spot, because I just was like, there's already been some issues. Like, this isn't, good. And so when he did that, like, I just knew it was going to be bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So, and it was like, he blew up. Like, he was really mad about it. And we all had to go to an event later that evening, and we rode together, and I asked a comic to come with me, Emmanuel, to come with me, because I was like, I don't know, it just was weird vibes. I didn't really know what was going to happen. So he came, and so Lars drove, and he was driving like really fast the whole time. And so I was just like, this is uncomfortable. One, because I don't even drive fast, and two, this car is in my name.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so leaving the event, I was just like, nah, I don't like this. So when everybody was saying bye for the night, like, he like dabbed everybody up except for me. And so I just texted him, and I was like, dude, like, what's the deal? Like, I thought it was maybe still salvageable at that point. I was like, that was a dick move, but like, what the heck,
Yeah.
And so he started, that's when he like was like, but everybody saw it, so they're like, what's going on? Like, we thought you guys. I told him, I texted him, I was like, that's a dick move. Like, I thought it was still salvageable. And he was just like, thanks, I don't need your input into things that don't have anything to do with you. And like, circling back again, it's like, in my mind, I'm like, this kind of has a lot to do with me. People have seen us together. Like, in my mind, it was my place to like just kind of see where I stood in all of it. At the very least. And
so he was just angry. He was just angry with you because you reached out to the comic that he was calling names and asked what the situation was. You wanted a second opinion on the situation because you felt you were guilty by association, and you wanted to let them know, I'm not like that. And he didn't like that you reached out. Lars didn't like that you reached out.
And kind of, right. He felt like I was going behind his back. And I was like, really? I was just trying to see like if this would impact me professionally, because you're saying this was a huge confrontation in the middle of a room full of industry professionals.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to try to see, is it that big of a deal? And it wasn't. But then, we ended up having this huge falling out, because after the workshops, that later the next day, he came to get a bag out of my room, because we had mixed up shopping bags or whatever. And he came into the room, and as soon as the door closed, he starts like cussing me out, and he's like, you're such a fucking bitch. I can't believe I ever trusted you. You're such a piece of shit. Like, just like going off. And I was just like, well, like, I was kind of like surprised, because I'm like, room, like, there's two halves of me. There's the half of me that grew up with people who act like this.
Yeah.
And so I'm like a little bit triggered. I'm like, okay, where's this gonna? The second half of me is like, I I train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I do like Muay Thai on the side too.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm like, if this goes bad, am I gonna have to fuck this dude up at my host? He's just like going off, and I'm just like, dude, like I can't argue if you're talking to me like this. I'm not gonna say anything that's gonna change your mind. I've
Yeah.
already heard how he talks about other people. Like I'm seeing this path, real way to repair this relationship at this moment
Uh-huh.
because he's not interested.
Yeah.
So why would I waste my breath? And
Right.
and then that just made him even more mad. Like he wanted me to argue with him, and he was like, "You're not even saying anything, like that." And da da. And I was like, I'm like just surprised, Like so, I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just not gonna waste my breath. And so I leave my room because I'm, want to go to the car, and like, he's still yelling. He's like, "I'm not going to the airport with you." Da 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 da. And I'm just like, okay, like cool. I don't want to be in a car with you anyways.
Yeah.
And so he is following me through the hotel, yelling at me, and then follows me onto the elevator. He's still yelling. There's people on the elevator at this point, and they're very uncomfortable. They're like worried for me.
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "It's okay." And he's just like still mad. And then he follows me all the way to the parking garage to the car, and he's still like screaming at me. And I'm just like, dude, like, you know what, just fucking take the car. Like, so I just leave the keys, shit out of there. Just take the car. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care. So then he takes the car, and like later on there was an event that we were supposed to go to, and I just told him, I was like, I'll find my own ride. I'm not worried about it. Like, I'm not doing it. Cause he was like,
Yeah.
no, I want to talk, and I was like, I'm just gonna go by myself, and I'll find
Yeah.
my own way home. Like, it's not a big deal. Because he wasn't originally gonna go.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he wanted to talk. No, like, you can go or not go if you want to. You have the car, do what you want. And
Yeah.
so I just, rode with somebody else. And he like really wanted me to ride home with him, and I was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And for an Angel, he like, I gotta say, for this one like Sour Apples comic, like there were so many male comics who were fantastic throughout this whole ordeal. Like my friend Angel gave me a ride home back to the hotel that night, and like just super supportive. And that was the last night of the festival, and everybody was like trying to go home, and get ready to go home and stuff like that. And so, he said he wasn't going to the airport. So I'm like, okay, I need to get my keys from this. And so I'm texting him, trying to get, meet up with him. He's ignoring my text. I go to the front desk of the hotel. I have them call him. He's ignoring, going, I'm walking to security to go to the security desk and like have them walk me up and ask for the keys from the room. Because I know he's there. The car's outside, where else would he be? And so I'm on my way to the security desk to have them walk me up to get the keys, when I saw my friend Jeremiah, and he's super funny. He did really well in the festival. He's like this bigger, like military guy. And he, was asking like, what's the matter? And so I kind of told him what happened, and he was like, well, I'll just try to get him to meet you down here, and like I'll help you with the keys. And so I was like, okay. So he was like, I want to talk to you. Lars was like, I want to talk to you. And I was like, just meet me in the lobby. And
Yeah.
so I knew there would be no talking.
Yeah.
But I just needed him to get to the lobby so I could get these keys back, because I was like, the rental car's in my name, you said you're not going, whatever. So he comes down, and he has the keys in his hand, and he's like, okay, now I just want to talk to you. And I was like, first of all, I'm not going to talk to you. Just give
Yeah.
me the keys, because like there's nothing really to say.
Yeah.
Like,
We're
I
done.
just want the keys. And so he literally just turns around and walks away. And then Jeremiah follows him and is like going to go ask him for the keys. And again, like, this has been so erratic. I'm like, I'm gonna, like, I didn't really want to leave him to just go follow him, because I again didn't know what was going to happen. So me and this other girl like went and followed, and eventually he got him to come back downstairs with the
Okay.
keys. And again, he held out the keys like he was going to give them to me, to try to say what I'm thinking, what my point of view is. And I was like, you said some really mean shit. Like, I don't, you do not just get to treat me like a punching bag and then think that I'm going to sit here and listen to what you have to say, because you don't get that.
Yeah.
And so again, he walked off with the keys, and I'm just like, fucking keep the keys. Like, you're not going to hold me hostage over car keys. And so Jeremiah went and talked to him, and to his credit, like, he's like such a calm guy. Like, he went and talked to him. He's like, if you're ever going to resolve this, like, you need to just take the L and like give her the keys. And whatever he said worked, because he came and put the keys down. But like throughout this whole ordeal, there's industry people at the bar, like, watching it happen. And I'm just like, this is crazy that I'm experiencing a domestic dispute, like, in this casino at a work event with someone I'm not fucking.
Yeah.
Like, this is. And so by the time we got the keys, like, this was an hours long ordeal. By the time we got the keys and I was able to get my bags, I was giving a ride. And she was, so I, like, this was an hours long ordeal. And by the time I finally got the car keys back, I was supposed to give another ride, Sandy, by the time I got the car keys back, I was supposed to give another comic, Sandy, she's from Baltimore as well, a ride to the airport. Like, by the time we got in the car and packed and everything, we missed our flight. And so he got to just throw the keys on the bar and go hop in an Uber and make his flight. And then we still had to sit there and like pick up the pieces and meet up and like get to the airport. And so it's like, so I went through this whole night where it's just like, someone's like trying to manipulate and, cornered me in my hotel room, tell me what a piece of shit I am. And I'm like, dude, all I've done is try to help. Like, and I'm just like, this is such a, like, the only reason I'm telling this story, because I don't like it. I already had backlash in Baltimore with it. Like, his friends were being assholes trying to like gatekeep shows and like open mics, like, because they were mad at me for what? Like, I'm just like, all I try to do is help. Like, I invited you to this awesome experience, and like,
you treated me like shit.
I don't know,
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm just
Wow.
like, I didn't even really want to tell, because I don't want more backlash, but I don't want female kind of like let their guards down, because it's like, I thought I knew this guy pretty well.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I don't travel with male comics anymore right now. Like, people will say, oh, can I go up to New York? Like, I will meet you there, but I'm not sitting on a train. I'm not riding a bus. I'm not sharing an Airbnb, like, nothing, none of it. Like, because I'm just like, I don't want to put myself in that role. Like, I really, 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 really trust and know someone. There's like 2 male comics that I know well enough right now that I would travel with. And I'm just like, I don't know, like, it's shitty, because like, I didn't feel like I was really doing anything but trying to help. And then I got shit for it there. And then I got shit for it when I got back.
Yeah.
And, people pretended to say like, oh, well, we don't condone people who act like, whatever. It's like, but no, but you do, because
you did.
Like, you're still putting these people in positions of like, quote, power, like, with the mic or with a show or whatever. And, it's just like, actions speak louder than words, in my opinion. And like, you can say you support women and you want to create a conducive, creative environment, but like, if your actions don't show that, then it's like, I'm not going to go. So like, I didn't go back to that show, back to that mic for months. And the only reason I went was because he was out of town. And then his friend promptly treated me like shit and bumped me for like 40 minutes. And like, it was crazy. Like, I was like, how are you like doing this at an open mic? Like,
yeah. Oh no, I gotcha. I completely gotcha. Like, it's so tough, right? Because it's hard to travel with people anyway. Even if you love them, it's like we all have our quirks. None of us are easy. It's all like, you want to be the best version of yourself when you're traveling. But if you're already not a great person, and then you mix that with someone you barely know and actions, it's just like a whole whirlwind. So, yeah, you really have to choose your travel companions very carefully. You have to choose them very carefully. I will say, if this is how his behavior is, if this is how he treats people, fortunately for you, unfortunately for him, somebody like that, they'll just their reputation will catch up with them. You know what I mean? You're not going to be the only person in the world he treats that way. And then the veil kind of gets lifted, unless there's some serious internal work going on, then the veil kind of gets lifted. So I'm really sorry that happened to you. I'm really grateful nothing escalated in the hotel room. Very cool that you do Brazilian jiu-jitsu though, because that is my brother does it and he keeps trying to get me to do it, and I'm like, I think I don't want to. But yeah, he says it's great.
Do it. It'll be so fun.
If
you ever want a buddy, I'll do it with you.
I'm like, I'm not there yet. I feel like I'm not, but he definitely is obsessed with it. So I know that people who do it love it. So I'm glad you didn't have to use any of your tricks, which you have many. You also, Liz, are a podcaster as well. So tell us a little bit about your podcast, which is called Black Joy and Bootstraps.
Yep. So I produced this podcast with my best friend from Texas. And she hosts it, which is kind of like throws people off. It's just like the way that we work. And so it's a podcast. It's kind of like in the how-to category. It's really geared towards like educating the Black community and people of color. You know, everyone says pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's like, where is everybody getting these bootstraps?
Yeah. I came in flip-flops.
So we in flip-flops, right? Like it's just like, so we do our best to kind of like pick these topics that that are just, you know, should be, people would think are basic knowledge. We don't always get educated on life insurance and how that could build, you know, generational wealth. We don't get you know, educated really on like resumes, and you know, we've done a lot of different episodes on like health, you know, how to pick the best healthcare, how to negotiate your rates with the hospital, like just different stuff, like all these little things. Like it's like a lot of financial things, educational things. We just did an episode on scholarships. We're going to drop an episode soon. It's going to be a little risque with a sexologist.
Love it.
You know, talking about healthy and happy sex lives and relationships and kind of what that looks like, because you know, a lot of people struggle with that now, like, you know, just trying to break these cycles, like understanding relationships and what you want out of a healthy.
Shout out to you, Liz. Thank you so much. And can everybody get that podcast all over? It's streaming everywhere.
Oh yeah. It's everywhere. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts. It's been really, I mean, even for me, like I incorporate all the things that we're, you know, doing on CPAs, like just leveling up, because it's such good information that's like so basic and easy to digest and incorporate that it like makes a huge difference. And it really is like, we're just super proud to be able to like get that information out there and like help people.
Yeah. That's amazing, Liz. Well, that is really cool. And I didn't know that all about your podcast. I didn't know the concept, what it was about. So it's so cool to hear you talk about it and talk about it so passionately. And you are up here in New York for a bit. I mean, if anybody knows Liz, they know that she is a commuting queen, coming up from Baltimore to join us in the city often. And you're just like a great sport about it, and you're amazing. And so Liz, let everybody know where they can find you, follow you.
Yes, thank you. I'm on Instagram is the best place. It's at Liz Lizz Savage underscore, because someone stole my name and they don't even use the profile. But
the worst.
Just hit me on Instagram if you want. I know, and she doesn't get on, so I can't even contact her to get it. Like,
you can't even get it back. I know. It's like, to change your Instagram name at this point, sometimes it's like then you're not tagged and stuff. I don't know. It's so complicated. But yeah, Liz, you are the best. Thank you so much for sharing your story, warning female comics out there just to be careful, or anyone in general, just be careful with who you're traveling with, especially in a work setting out of state. Keep it professional, keep it cool, which you always do. So Liz, thank you for doing the podcast, and you and I will talk soon, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Bye.